Hello my loyal companions, welcome back to the channel. In today's video I want to show you my updated settings for Rogue Company that I'm using to grind ranked with. I've updated this slightly since my last video just to optimize it a little bit more. I think you guys can learn something or change up your settings a little bit to match these, and it might help your gameplay. If you do go on to enjoy the video or just want to see daily educational Rogue Company content, make sure you drop a like and subscribe to the channel. But for now, let's get into it. For those of you who don't know, I do play on PC and I use a controller. I'll get onto the controller aspect a bit more when we get into the controls, but the PC element allows me to change a few more display settings that may optimize some of my frame rate that you won't be able to do on console. My display settings are as follow. I do play on Windows full screen mode with the standard resolution. I turn VSync off because I'm not too fussed with screen tearing, and when you do have it on, it can cause a few little input delays from you and your input, so I do have it off just to optimize my performance ever so slightly. Brightness is personal preference, and then motion blur and ADS blur I recommend everybody turn off. There's no need to have it, it's just disruptive and can reduce a little bit, very small amount of frame rate with that blurring effect. So I recommend having it off just so you can see things a bit more clearly more than anything. Save frame I have at 100%, and then for colorblind correction, whatever type of colorblindness you have, just pick the appropriate measure. I'm personally not colorblind, so I just have it on none. Then these settings are where we get onto the PC optimization only, and this is what will help your frame rate. Having any of these set to low will increase your performance and increase your frame rate, but having them at ultra or higher will increase sort of the quality of the picture you're actually seeing. The way I run these are as follows. The view distance I have at ultra, just because you want to be seeing as much as possible and having as much render in as possible at the further distances. This pretty much is a consistent ultra for everybody. I wouldn't recommend turning this down because it's just going to inhibit your actual gaming ability over the performance. So shadows I keep it low. Shadows aren't a massive impact towards the actual visuals of the game in my opinion. Anti-aliasing is sort of personal preference. If you have it at low, things are really jagged. If you have it at ultra, things are really smooth. I have it at medium just because I want the best performance I can, but personally I can't handle it at low. It's just too jagged for me. Textures I have it low. The textures don't play actually a massive part in this game, more so the visual effects do, and this is why I have it at medium, just for a little bit nicer viewing when I'm playing the game. Like the skins rendering better, some of the visual effects and the grenades roll in a little bit better, so I do have this at medium for me personally. And then post-processing and foliage I have at low, just because you don't need them. They really don't do much, but they do help the frame rate by having them at low, and the visual effect difference isn't that much. To show you the visual difference, this is what all the settings look like when they're on low. You can see that the textures are a little bit worse. The character model itself is very jagged and a little bit off-putting, and some of the color blend is not great. If I then change it all to ultra for you, you'll see a massive improvement in the quality of the picture. But when we actually get into it, my frame rate will drop. You can see a lot of the textures are a lot cleaner. The color blend from the two different perspectives is very different, and the character model looks a lot better as well. So yeah, generally the picture is a lot better, but you do suffer from frame rate a little bit more. Going on to the audio settings, a lot of this is personal preference, but there are a few things I do want to just touch on. Master volume, obviously put it wherever you want. Music volume, if you're a streamer, I recommend turning that to 0. There was a rumor that having the music on could get you DMCA striked from your VOD and get your VODs taken down, so I did put this at 0. I don't know how true those rumors are currently standing, but for me I'm just keeping it off now. The music isn't that important, so I do recommend having it off if you're a content creator. For sound effects, whack it all the way up to 100%. You want to be hearing that very clearly. For voice chat, it's up to you the volume that you want to render it at. For the actual voice chat itself, I fit between on and off depending on what the situation is. If I'm in public matches, I'll run it on. If I'm not, I'll keep it off. And then I always have push to talk on just so I can control actually what I'm saying, so I can talk with chat as well at the same time. And then for the 3D headphones, this is the new experimental feature. Don't really see the point of it, don't really see the difference, so I have it off. Now the controls are the interesting one that you want to probably see. And as I said, I play on controller. I do have this plugged into my PC. It is an Xbox SCUF controller, a SCUF Prestige, so it does have the pedals on the back. And as I said, I use these to jump and roll with a little bit more fluidity, not even take my finger off the thumbstick to be able to do these. Because I don't play claw, it does really help to have it like this. For the actual settings themselves, I do have hold to crouch, hold to sprint, and auto sprint off. I prefer to toggle these manually. It just helps me not have to have my hand holding and putting pressure on one part of the controller that it doesn't need to be on. So the toggle version of this is a lot better than the hold in my opinion. The mouse settings, I don't use the mouse, so I haven't really played with too much, but the controller settings are the ones that I have changed up a little bit. My sensitivity is still the same. 7.4 is what I like to run for better horizontal movement over and sort of more controlled vertical movement. But I have changed the ADS version of these. They used to be 50-50. I've now decided to whack the horizontal up to 60 so I can flick between targets a bit more quickly when I'm aiming down sight. And the vertical I put at 40, so I lowered it just so it's a little bit more precise on that vertical movement, so I can sort of adjust for headshots a little bit easier. Now, dead zone is a really interesting one. For those of you who do not know what dead zone is, it is the amount of pressure you have to put on your thumbstick for it to register as an input into the game. So you want this as low as possible so you can make as many micro movements as you can, but you need to have it sort of high enough that stick drift doesn't actually start moving you in game. I used to have this a little bit lower, but because my controllers end up having a bit more stick drift, I have had to increase them slightly. But this is the perfect amount of movement for me currently so that I don't get stick drift, but I can also make those micro adjustments when needed. So I would recommend just finding your balance by going into shooting range, putting them down and just seeing at what point your stick drift is kicking in and what point it's not, and keep it at that lowest possible value. Acceleration boost I have currently on 55%, and I have the acceleration boost multiplier at 2. This is very personal preference. You can just whack these both down to 0, and then your turning circle is the same speed, and you can sort of learn muscle memory a lot easier. But I like this just because I like to be able to 180 as quick as possible, and when I'm not using a mouse that's quite hard. So I have this, I just optimized it to what I feel most comfortable using for a 180 by using these settings, and I recommend you just play around with it until you get sort of a turning circle and a turning speed that you find most useful. ADS mode I have at hold, and then the scope sensitivity I have at 50-50, so this is for your snipers. I haven't messed around with this. I like the way my sniper feels since my last video, so I've just kept this the same. I do not invert the y-axis, and I have vibration on for no apparent reason. I just think it's okay to have on. I do still have the press to reload, press to interact. It does cause some issues with zip wires and reloading, and particularly with Talon and his mag gloves. But generally this works better for me. I like the quick input of this, and I have it down to the shortest hold time just so that that's as quick as possible. Now, gyroscope is a whole different setting for a whole different sort of input that I do not mess around with, so I haven't really gone into this. My bindings are the standard ones. I haven't messed around with these at all, only on mouse where I use my 2 mouse buttons on the side here and here to shoulder swap and to roll. But other than that, because I play on controller mostly, all the bindings are the same. I think it's a really intuitive system the way they've done it, and so I've kept it how it is for now. For gameplay, I have quick cast on. I personally prefer this. I like it from other games, and I just think it's a lot more fluid to sort of, you know, hold it and then just throw it rather than hold it and then activate it to throw it and put it out. I just like this a lot better to just quick cast and throw it immediately. Auto pickup I've now turned on. This is something I did have off before. I've decided to turn it on just because we were in one scrim and I ran across trying to pick up a grenade, and I stood there for about 6 seconds trying to pick up this grenade, and I ended up not being able to, and then they found me and then they killed me. So my team yelled at me to put on auto pickup, and now I have, and it just generally is a better, I think, just to have it on and get these equipment in as much as possible. Language is obviously English, and I do turn display numbers on so I see exactly how much damage I'm doing, but I do have a cumulative damage turned off still. I prefer just to add it up and see it by eye rather than see the exact numbers. There's a massive argument just to put it on, and really it's up to you. This is just what I've been playing with and how I tend to see numbers and how my brain sort of processes them a lot easier. But if you want to turn a cumulative number on, you can. And then FPS, this is their own FPS counter. The one I have at the top left is the GeForce overlay. If I turn that off and then turn this one on, you won't see anything because it only works when you're actually in game. But it updates very quickly, and for me, you can't get a very accurate reading of what your FPS is because it updates far too quickly. So I just keep with the GeForce one that I have up here. And for social, my region split between Europe and NA East. I generally play on NA East more, but I will play on Europe occasionally, just depending on how I'm feeling that day or whether any of my NA friends are online. And do not disturb, I have us off. Okay then guys, that takes the end of the video. And if you did enjoy, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Do remember that your settings are your own, and you do need to play around with them as much as possible to get a nice feel of what works for you. This is just my recommendation, and so you can see what I play with if you're looking to maybe change it up a little bit, and a bit of an explanation about what they do so you actually know what you're changing and why. Do make sure you come follow me on twitch.tv/RELENTLESS to see me play some Rogue Company, see those live game commentaries, those Q&As, those guides, and much more. All the links you're going to need are down in the description below. But for now guys, I hope you have a fantastic day, and remember, be loyal, be brave, be relentless, and I'll catch you in the next video.